Play hard, try not to make mistakes, but don't worry about mistakes because there's only one thing that counts. Just win. Commitment to excellence. Is a commitment to excellence. The flame that would burn brightest here is the will to win. Is the will to win. Is the will to win. Your commitment to excellence and your will to win will endure forever. You will not get the great.
All right. What's up, nation? This is your boy Knight coming back at you with another Night Live edition right here on the Will to Win broadcast. Today is February 10th, 2020, the year of vision, something that I lack. Once again, for all those who don't know, I am legally blind. If you guys want to understand more about what it's like for me to be legally blind and even doing stuff like this, you guys can go check out my other channel over here. I always do that. Independently Blind right here on YouTube, where I discuss life situations, what's going on with me personally, what I'm learning, what I'm doing, things like that, and how I'm going to translate that over to covering the Raiders on this program. So I'd just like to welcome everybody that's watching live right now. I believe the last time I looked, I was up to 3 viewers. So I'd like to welcome those 3 viewers in. I'm down to 2, so I lost one really quickly. That's okay. Much love anyway. We're going to talk a little draft today, something that I said that I wanted to do. I wanted to start off, though, by just talking draft philosophy, because I believe that, sometimes we get caught up as fans just to try to understand who the best players are coming out of college. And we want to, we think that we know the needs of the Raiders. And for the most part, we do, right? I mean, especially in these first 2 picks, I think it's somewhat clear with one little hiccup in there. It's pretty clear what we need to do. There's a few different directions they can go, but we're going to discuss that a little bit today. But I just want to kind of try to put ourselves up in that war room, along with Gruden and Mayock and even Marinelli, Gunther, defensive coordinators, John, Mayock, Mark Davis, I guess. I think Mark Davis has done a pretty good job of staying out of it, although there's a business side of this stuff that I think we need to recognize, especially when it comes from the quarterback position right now. We've talked about that in the last couple of weeks, that what is going to be the best for the Raiders. But the thing is that is going to be a big part of what we do in the first round with that 12th overall pick. That position needs to be decided. And history will tell us that unless something really, really drastic happens, maybe like a Tom Brady signing. That's still a rumor, still floating around there. Although, the more I look into it myself, not only do I not want it, I don't think the Raiders will go there. We're talking about a 43-year-old quarterback. There's no more development there, right? You don't know that window. I think it would be dumb, really dumb and ignorant to make that move in this particular situation. Now, if they do, I'm not going to sit there and throw a fit about it. It is what it is, but I we'll be looking for the quarterback for the future for sure if we do that, right? So right off the top, they sign Brady, we're automatically looking for a quarterback. We know that. So that it's easy to say the number 12th overall pick will most likely be a quarterback. And the 2 picks might have to be what that takes to get that quarterback, with a couple of little hiccups there too, because if everybody knows Josh Barrow, if I'm saying his name correctly, is scheduled to go to Cincinnati, but rumors are building that he doesn't even want to play for Cincinnati. We may have another Eli Manning situation here. Could the Raiders get on that bid? Could the Raiders try to offer, hey, if we get this pick, we'll trade picks? That's what the Giants did with the Chargers back in the day to land Eli Manning. Is that something that John Gruden and the Raiders would be interested in? So the quarterback is definitely the hot seat topic here as of right now. And until March 18th, we're not going to get a whole lot of answers, right? I mean, once the Patriots, and I do believe the Patriots will re-sign Tom Brady, I think that'll mum those rumors down a little bit. But we're also dealing with Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota. Now, these guys are only 26 years old. We look at Winston's numbers, and they're pretty bad, 30-30. First quarterback to ever have 30-30. But, they're talking about, his thumb was hurt towards the end of the season, yada, 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 maybe. But he still doesn't see the field the same as the other quarterback. So I would even challenge the fact, but see, we're talking about Gruden here. And I think everybody needs to keep that in mind too. This is the same John Gruden that went out and got Rich Gannon, who was 34 years old at the time. So Rich Gannon likes his veteran quarterbacks. He believes they can give him an edge. Now, Winston and Mariota are not technically veterans by all means, but he's not afraid to go grab one of those guys and use them versus going out and maybe drafting a quarterback. But at the same time, have we ever seen Gruden go out and draft his guy? I don't remember. Anybody wants to leave a comment in the comment section that knows if John Gruden did that in Tampa or not, went and handpicked somebody or not. But this would be an opportunity for him to actually do so and go get someone that he believes that is his guy. We've heard the rumors that he likes Kaiser. We heard the rumors that he likes Peterman. We even heard the rumors that he doesn't necessarily hate Carr either, right? He hasn't necessarily endorsed him fully the way that Mayock has, but he's a numbers guy. He's a numbers guy, and Carr's got the numbers. So it's going to be very interesting on how this all folds. Before we get started, I'm going to play a couple of clips, but before I get into the clips, I want to get into some of the chats here. What's going on in the chats? Watts Raider, what's up, man? What's going on, brother? Right at you, brother. Shout out to you, Watts. Inner City Raider, glad the night's back. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that, brother. Charles Watley, CeeDee Lamb. We're going to get into that. There's a lot of talk, right? Who was the better receiver to go grab? There's 3 that people are talking about. Kenneth Murray. Watts is going with the linebacker, Kenneth Murray. Lamb or Higgins? Jalen Hurts at 19. Man, everybody's just racking these numbers in already, huh? Everybody knows what's going on. Watts saying if Winston can cut his interceptions down, he would be better. The guy's got arm talent. And he's mobile in the pocket. It's intriguing. I mean, I personally don't know. Again, this is what we're going to talk about as we start this thing off. Is getting into that war room and trying to pick the brains in that particular situation with Gruden and Mayock, right? I mean, because that's the biggest factor in all this right now. Is where there's smoke, there's fire, and I always say that. And it's going to go 2 ways, and I think the motive is 2 ways, and we'll get into that in a second. Fire, bro, what's up, my brother? Finally found you on here, man. You're always checking me out on my Independently Blind channel, dude. And I really, really appreciate you, dude. Trade Carr now. Maybe. I think that is probably the biggest discussion in the war room right now, hands down. Watts says Chris Sims. Watts, you go build your own fantasy team, brother. Oops, I missed one. Hold on one second. Dude, Samoan Raiders in the house. What's up, my brother, dude? Man, you got to teach me some of those editing skills, man. I'm actually going to be going to school learning some of that stuff, but man, you got that stuff down, dude. Your videos look so clean. You and Sanji, man. You guys are the bar that's been set, man. Really proud of you, dude. So I'm going back to Watts Raiders comment when he says Chris Sims. Man, I'm telling you what, dude. That's who I remember now. That's who Gruden went after, is Chris Sims. Yeah, this is also Gruden, the guy that was banging the table for Manziel. Do you guys remember that? Me and Raider John about flipped out at it because he wouldn't shut up about it. He kept saying Manziel. We're like, no. So could you imagine us being in the draft at that point? We would have had Johnny Manziel. That would have been fun, wouldn't it? Miguel Ruiz, what's up, my brother? I'm hanging in there, man. Just doing my thing. All right, so I caught up with the chat. Here's how we're going to start this thing. I'm going to play a couple of clips. Well, at least one for sure right now. I'm going to start off with playing what Mike Mayock thought about his draft picks, the season, and all that. I know a lot of you guys have heard this before, but I want to use this to set the stage about what we're going to talk about right now and kind of try to get into the mind of Mike Mayock. Don't take it for face value. Listen to what he says and just really try to think about what could be going on in his mind heading into 2020. Let's go ahead and play that clip.
What will you remember about 2019? How will you kind of categorize that season in the journey of this team going forward?
Opportunities lost. I mean, we're 6-4. We lost 5 of our last 6. I think what it did was illuminate to me that our depth has to get better. We got beat up a little bit, and in the NFL, everybody gets beat up. So I've got to do a better job of helping John have enough depth to get through a season at a high level. So I really think in my mind, we want to build off the success we had. We want to add to that foundation with more quality, with young players in our rookie class this year. We talk a lot about foundation, both on and off the field. We want to bring great people into our building, both in free agency and the draft. We want to have better depth than we had last year, and we want to finish. And I think that's an important word to me. We want to finish every practice, every game, and ultimately the season in the correct fashion.
I love listening to Mike Mayock. What about you guys, dude? Doesn't he just sound like he just got it? Last year he was talking about having skin in the game. You guys remember that? He didn't have no skin in the game before, and now he's viewing this as just a Raider GM. He's not looking at all 32 teams, although I think he's still trying to get into the minds of some of these GMs to kind of set his board. But I mean, that's going to fade a little bit because he's going to be wrapped up into what the Raiders need, what Gruden needs, what Gunther needs, what Marinelli's thinking. Right. He's really got to get into their minds. And he talked about a lot about that last year, right? And trying to figure out the schemes and exactly what they're looking for and how to, he's analyzing the team differently and players differently. And we saw that, especially going in late into the draft last year. And that's how we ended up with Max Crosby. Now we're going to play a clip in a little bit about Max Crosby, but just to kind of set the stage of what I think that Gruden and Mayock are trying to do here. I'm going to make this point too, as we start to get into draft philosophy, right? Do you remember when Gruden first came over? Remember the situation we were in, right? We were fortunate enough to have 3 outstanding first-round picks. And I'm going to say that again, 3 outstanding. Because at the time, because a lot of people will argue up until, 2017, Carr was on track, Carr was on point. Whatever happened after that, it could be the offensive philosophy. It could be that he broke his leg and he hasn't been the same. Say what you will. Up until 2017, we had 3 outstanding Carr was a second-round pick, let's be real. But those first 3 picks were the face of our franchise, and it was going to cost us money to keep them. Now, keep this in mind. We got a biological clock, so to speak, that's ticking right now. Right now, we got Cleveland Farrell, right? We got Josh Jacobs. We got Abrams, who hasn't even played yet, but is on his way, right? On his way, and everything looks good so far. And until we see the proof on the field, but all signs are pointing that he's going to be good, right? So we got Abrams. We got Max Crosby that actually stood up and actually did some things. That's going to be interesting moving forward, man. I think those guys are going to command some decent sized contracts, right? And we got 2 first-round picks coming this season too. And I think that's going to be taken into consideration, especially when we're talking about quarterback. They got to make a decision on Carr. That's first and foremost. We already know that, right? That's going to be the main topic, in my opinion, in that war room right now. And I really hope it's not about Tom Brady, because I don't see the value in that. If we're lucky, we're going to get 1 year. Let's just hold on 1 second here, guys. Give me 1 second. Okay, so as we're sorry, I had to take care of something. As we're actually getting in to free agency, we need to have this thing settled. I mean, Tom Brady is 43 years old. Father Time is no joke, man. When Father Time comes knocking, whether you answer the door or not, he enters. So, I mean, is that going to be what is Tom Brady's value going to be to a rookie quarterback in John Gruden's system, right? I mean, I know there's a ton of experience there. He's the greatest of all time. He's a winner. He's a champion. His footwork, the way he sees the field, he's very smart. Again, I will argue that Carr has all those. Okay, Carr's decision making is not the greatest, but any quarterback, you're not going to teach someone their decision making, man. You're just not. Brady or Carr is not going to help a rookie quarterback in his decision making. It's something that you really can't teach someone. It's a natural gift. How many times have we had running backs back there that just couldn't see the field the same way that Josh Jacobs does? Watch the tape. Josh Jacobs has eyes all around his head. You can't teach that, man. That's something that's naturally given, just that natural football instinct just to see everything at one time. So outside of that, I mean, I don't see the value in bringing in a 43-year-old greatest of all time quarterback that's going to cost us probably $30 million. That's the rumor. I mean, I don't know what it's really going to cost to bring Brady in, but if you're lucky, you get 1 year. I wouldn't bank on 2 physically. I just wouldn't do it. But then that begs the question too. Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, what value do they really bring to the table? That if you do that, you're running with that. You're not looking at quarterbacks in the draft at this point, in my opinion. How does he really feel about Peterman? Like, there's so much going on in that quarterback conversation in that room right now. Us as fans, us people that are trying to analyze the team and break everything down, we're not going to figure it out. We're just not. But here's the one thing that needs to be decided. And I'm not going to have the answer. I wish I did. Do they want Carr? I don't care if it's Brady. I don't care if it's Winston. I don't care if it's Marcus Mariota. Do they want Derek Carr? Even if it's for 1 or 2 more years. From a financial standpoint, just from a logistics, understanding the system, being able to be a teacher, I say it's the best move. But again, that doesn't mean you don't, again, you're still deciding, do you want Carr long-term? Do you really want this guy long-term? That's number one. And that's how we're going to really decipher what's going on with that number 12 overall pick, maybe even the number 19th pick. Because I think that they're in a position now where if it's quarterback that they want, whether it's Burrows or Tua, they have some bargaining chips to go and try to make that happen. And it's something that's on the table. I really do believe that it's on the table because they're looking long-term here. They're just in Las Vegas. They got this new stadium. The hype is real, man. Wait till that draft hits that city. I'm going to do a video just about my feelings and about where we're at in Las Vegas because y'all know I'm formerly known as the Oakland Knight. I haven't changed the logo back here. You can kind of see the Oakland on the Will to Win if I can get out of the way enough. Look, I'm from the Bay, man. That's where I'm from. And we'll get into that. I'll talk about that because I'm excited, man. It hurts. Don't get me wrong. It hurts. But I'm excited for the future of the Raiders for the first time in a very, very long time because, it's a business first and foremost. It just is. Not from a fan perspective, but if they don't make money and they don't have the revenue and the things that they need, they're not doing it. So that does fall into the draft because, like I said, there's potentially, I could tell you right now, there's 3 players that are going to get paid. I do think year 2, you're going to see a different Cleveland Farrell. Don't ever expect Cleveland Farrell to be more than what he is. He's going to be a solid piece on that defensive line that bats balls down, sets the edge. He will get some sacks. Max Crosby is going to be the beast. He's going to command probably the biggest pay on defense, right? That guy is going to develop to be something. And I'm going to play a clip here in a minute of why this guy is going to be something special. Josh Jacobs, hey, the window of a running back is short, but he's going to get a big second contract. That guy's going to get a big second contract. As long as Gruden's here, that's his boy, guaranteed. So, I mean, that's three big ones right there. Cleveland Farrell will get a decent-sized contract. We'll see how he develops. That's 4 big contracts we are looking at right now. That's not even saying, wait, is Mullen going to perform? I think Foster Moreau is on that bubble. Hunter Renfrow as a slot, he'll get paid. But like all these are all contracts that we have to come up with money with in the future. And we're going to add 2 more to that. The 12th overall and the 19th overall pick, we're going to add that to the pool. We're not going to be able to keep all those players, guys. We're just not. So would it make sense to really package that up? If quarterback's what you want, it wouldn't be a bad deal to package those up and go solidify your future if that's what you believe is happening. And that's the decision that's going on. And that's going to determine what's really going to happen with that number 12th overall pick and maybe even the 19th. We don't know. They got to figure that out. They're not necessarily endorsing Carr right now by even having the Brady rumor even emerge, right? Or even people talking about it. I mean, Carr's dealing with it again. We haven't heard much since they talked about Brady, though, right? Just from his brother, which his brother is into everything. Here's one of the things that I think that Gruden may have been doing there. Doesn't mean that it's not going to mean the future. It doesn't mean that Gruden's not going to draft a future prospect in the first round. But when the rumor first came out, when the rumor came out that Tom Brady was at the UFC fight and he saw Mark Davis and they shook hands and a little bit of word exchange about golf and all that kind of good stuff, that's when the rumor first emerged. And that's when Carr came out and did a tweet or made a statement or went on a radio show, whatever, talking about when is this stuff going to stop, blah, 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 blah. Then all of a sudden by Super Bowl, they made that rumor real. Now, it's just a rumor, right? Like, there's no guarantee that Tom Brady's coming to Las Vegas. Even if the Patriots don't sign him, he's going to have a ton of people knocking down his door, right? But Gruden is a master motivator. Maybe Gruden didn't like Carr's attitude. Maybe he's like, man, don't think that you have it that good. Don't think that you're that safe. This is the NFL. This is not for long. So I'm gonna put you on the hot seat again. Because he does need to get better. He's not elite. We've been talking about that the last few weeks, man. The guy is on the bubble. I mean, for most of the Raider Nation, I guess he's outside the bubble. I'm that guy I'm still playing in the middle of the field, man. He still brings a value to this team short term. Not long term for me, but short term, I still see a value in him, especially if they go and draft somebody young. I'm still standing by that, right? I still, and he has the opportunity. And just because he has that opportunity for me means he has an opportunity to return to that 2016 Derek Carr if he chooses to. Otherwise, he's there to develop the future. That's where I'm at with Derek Carr. And I know that's not a popular statement for most of the Raider Nation, but it's the truth. Let's get down on the chat and see what you guys are thinking so far. Right. Mayock's already looking at tapes. He's been breaking it down all season, right? He knows what this team needs. He's got to get with the other coaching staff and figure out exactly what direction they want to go. But he's been doing it all year, man. This guy loves film, and he's breaking down not only our team but everybody else's team. He's looking at free agency. He's proud of his scouting department, and the future's bright with Mayock, man. I'm telling you, that's probably the steal of the decades right there, is grabbing Mike Mayock as a GM. Because there's a lot to be said about the GM position, right? Like they think it's all about number. Man, you could bring in guys to do the numbers all day. He's leading that department for talent, and that's the biggest part of a GM's job. You hear it all the time. Oh, we talked about Reggie being a contract guy, and Reggie was a contract guy. He put together some good contracts and made some things happen. But I was one of those guys that pounded the table for Reggie. I'm not going to lie. In the long term, the whole package didn't work. There's a lot of. I mean, you'll never deny the Khalil Mack and, even the Mari Cooper thing. I know it didn't work out, but I was talking to someone. We're going to get into that in the next segment. I'm going to hold that thought about Coop. I was going to get into Coop right now. And I know that's another touchy subject, but I'm going to get into Coop. Yes, all those guys, they got to get paid, right, Watts? All those guys got to get paid. This team is already looking at some contracts, especially because they were all rookies, and they say the biggest jump of growth comes in between year 1 and year 2. That means those guys did such a fantastic job, and they're slated to be better in year 2. We already started to see it. Even Clelin Ferrell from Pro Football Focus was the leading defensive lineman in the last 2 or 3 games. He started to catch on. He started to get really used to what they had him doing. They had him inside, they had him outside. Clelin Ferrell is underrated. Not overrated. He's underrated at this point. Like I said, don't put the tag for him to be a Khalil Mack, a Von Miller, or anything like that. But see, sometimes I think having really great players like that is overrated too. If you have a whole bunch of Clelin Ferrells, your team's going to be more balanced. Just saying. Yeah, we're gonna have to pay. Yeah, Watts. We're gonna have to pay Brady more for short term. Like I don't see the value of bringing in Brady and getting rid of. Brady doesn't know Gruden's system, and Brady's not the future. Meaning you're going to replace some guy that knows the system with a 43-year-old quarterback to groom a newbie. I don't see the value in that. What are you going to go out? You're going to get Brady and Winston, and then he's, since Winston's already kind of developed on all the other phases and they're going to learn it together. None of it makes sense to me. None of it makes sense. You could like Carr, you could hate Carr, you could be whatever with Carr. From a system standpoint, only, again, I'm talking from, go draft a quarterback. Draft or go get our future. Carr's that gap filler. He's the perfect gap filler, man, at this point in time. Carr's awareness is what gets him in trouble from Watts. Man, look, and he does know his system very well, Watts. And that holds value right now. To me, that holds a lot of value. Not for the future. Remember, guys, you always got to throw that disclaimer up here when you're on social media, because people are going to come out with their fangs out, right? I'm not saying that the Hall of Fame quarterback, Derek Carr, is the best fit for the system. I'm not saying that, man. What I'm saying is, if you're going to make a move, draft one. If you can get Winston or Mariota at the right price, I guess you could do that too, right? And they could compete and they could battle it out, and you could see how well they pick up on Gruden's system. I guess that's an option. Still not my first option, to be honest with you, because I think you got that with Peterman and Kaiser already. I say draft one. There's some talent there, man. There's some arm talent. There's a lot of people are talking about Love. Man, I'm kind of I like Herbert. I like Herbert already. 6'6". He's got some legs. He breaks tackles. He's a more agile Ben Roethlisberger. I think Ben Roethlisberger has a stronger arm, but the guy can play, and he's hungry. Josh Burrow, the one that they're talking about going to Cincinnati, he doesn't even want to go there. Could we package something to go give him, man? We got 2 first-round picks and Derek Carr, right? Like, could you package those 2 first picks and move up? Can you go and draft a couple of players for Cincinnati and then offer them something up? Could you package Derek Carr? Could you bring in Winston, Mariota, or even Brady? And could you package Derek Carr along with the 12th overall pick to go up and get somebody? All those options are on the table, yeah. But you got to really think about your first year in a new city that is going to put this team on fire, man. It's going to put this team on the map. We're talking about a team that's already beloved across the nations, right? The Raider Nation. We're already talking about a really, really well-known and loved and hated team, and that's a good thing, right? We're a big-ticket item, man, and now we're in a big-ticket city. We got to perform. And now I guarantee you that's on the table. That's why the Brady name comes up. But these guys are smart. I don't think they're going to be that dumb, man, to think that Brady's the answer to it all. But we'll see. Well said, Watts, because that's the talk right now, right? Wide receiver and LB linebacker is our probably 2 biggest needs going in. Some people argue you could throw cornerback right in that mix, right? Those would be the big 3. You got 2 picks, and those are the big 3. I think you could go either way on the linebacker, cornerback. You're going best player available. You're setting your board, whatever's there, whatever you got ranked. Once you rank your players in your war room, you know, even if you had linebacker over cornerback, but that linebacker's gone, the pick could be cornerback. With that 12th overall pick, I think the door's wide open. And I'm willing to say if it's not quarterback, that first 12th pick is going to be a wide receiver. And we'll get into that here in a minute too. Let's go ahead and get into them. Right, Watts. We got to nail this draft. I'm not worried about them making the right decisions. They're going to make the right decisions. Look what they did last year without what Mayock says, they're not having the skin in the game. So that is going to be the key here, right? Is Mayock already knows what he's doing. They just got to figure out quarterback. And then after that, they're just setting their board, and I trust Mayock's going to nail it, dude. I'm not really worried about that part. I'm really trying to figure out, because that's what we're trying to do, man. We're trying to get out a crystal ball. We're just trying to figure it out. Like our opinions are going to be, name one person that's ever nailed the draft. Like, look how many mock drafts are. Why do you think they do so many mock drafts? I think as people go along and they really get into setting mock drafts, they want to make as many as possible. Yes, granted, there's free agency that changes things and all that, but I'm talking like they're just trying to get and none of us has really worked with this particular staff and how they think. And, you know, this is where you kind of go to those people that may have that skill. Even Mayock, when he was doing it, man, Mayock, see, that's the difference. Like when you're on TV and you're just trying to pick needs and pick players and their skills, it's a lot different than like he said, when now I got skin in the game. It's totally different. I got to work with my coaches. I got to work with my coordinators. I got to look at the talent that's on the team. I got free agency. It changes. He's looking at this from a whole different perspective, but his ability to evaluate talent is still there. That's what makes Mayock special. Brady for 2 years is worth a shot. I don't know, man. I don't think so. We're talking about a 43-year-old quarterback, man. And there was some signs, and I know people are making excuses. We're fans are full of excuses all the time. I'll be the first to admit it. And if you go look at my track record, I was Mr. Excuse Man, right? And I'm as older I get, the wiser I get, I want to say. And I'm done with the excuses. I mean, an orange is an orange, and apple's an apple. A spade is a spade. And right now, you know what I'm saying? Like Brady is, you could talk about the talent. I mean, Brady's had less talent around him too. Brady raises the talent of people around him. I mean, he's just getting older, man. His numbers were still good, though. I'm not saying that there's no value in Brady at all. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense in this current situation. It's not worth the shot. It's not. He's got to learn Gruden's system. Everybody acts like he's been playing for Gruden all these years. This guy's got 2 decades with the same coach, the same system, the same philosophy. Man, sometimes it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Are you saying that Gruden's going to want to change his whole system for 2 years just to go back to what he believes in anyway? I mean, that's almost and that's the way my mind's working anyway. I'm not talking about the skill of Brady. I do say that his skill is going to be a little diminished at 43. That's just real talk. But again, like, could he come in and play better than Carr? Sure. Under what system, though? There's going to be a learning curve, man. I believe that it's not about the skill of Brady. It's just more about the system and where we're at and where we're going to go in the future. It doesn't make any sense to me. We need to get some. I'm going to talk about that next week, Watts. But yeah, I mean, we definitely need some studs on defense. But you know, it's trying to figure that out, man. That's a chess game that I think everybody is trying to figure out in the league, because they set the standard, man. They set the standard in the way that Mahomes. It's one thing for it to be a one-hit wonder, but this guy's done it back to back. His first year as a starter, anyway, he won the league MVP. The next thing you know, he's winning the Super Bowl, and he's got the Super Bowl MVP. This guy's the real deal. And a lot of it's based off the talent he has around him too, and the speed and all that kind of good stuff. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but there's still a lot for him to prove, is what I'm saying. But that Kansas City Chief offense is no joke. And everybody, the whole league is trying to figure out what's the best formula. Not only just, it's not, I wouldn't even say to stop I think that's a big word. I don't think there's no stopping that offense, dude. I think it's about slowing them down and giving your team opportunity, but you got to have an answer on the other side too, right? So you're going to want to build an offense. That's why I said, if either way, I say number 12th pick is going to go to quarterback or wide receiver. That's a fact. I think it's going to be offensive. Hold on here. Colton Miller and Farrell. Colton Miller. I don't know. I mean, like, he's been all right. He's the only thing on the offensive line I worry about. Yeah, Miller's been good, and Miller's been good. I just don't know if he's, I think it's been good. They're hard to find, right? And I think he's played good enough. I really like our offensive line situation. If Brady was younger, it would be better than keeping Carr. I agree. I just, he's not going to lock anything down. He's not going to solidify anything, and it's going to cost a lot of money. So 2 years with Brady, hey, look, if the organization decides to do that, I could argue that it would be a good thing. I could pick out enough pros in it to be okay with it. But I'm looking big picture, man. I'm not looking at 2-year windows. We don't need a 2-year window. And I think that's too large of a task for someone who's 43 years old. That's my personal opinion. But again, I'm not in that war room with these guys. They know. But I think, honestly, I think it's an eye opener for Carr. I think they're just kind of settled him down a little bit, but we'll see. And I don't think the Patriots are going to let him go. There's so much that's into that, right? I don't think he leaves New England. I think all this is to kind of posture himself to get what he wants from New England. Shawshank, you snuck up on, hey, that's what I do, man. I pop in. I've been doing these early morning things because right now it fits my schedule. Like, I got a tight schedule today, so I'm trying to pop in and pop out, but I like to talk, so I already know I'm pushing the clock a little bit. But I'm gonna have to speed things up here in a minute. But yeah, dude, I'd like to move these towards the evening, just to get maybe an opportunity for a bigger audience and create more conversation. But you guys are awesome, man. And there's always been someone in here chopping it up with me, man. So I really appreciate it. So I caught up with the chat. So let's go ahead and get in. I can't spend a lot of time on it, but it's not going to take much. But for the first point, I just want to let's listen to what Mike Mayock had to say about Max Crosby, just to kind of set the stage about how Mike Mayock is really approaching this. I mean, this is more about fourth round and on. It's more of that second tier level what he's talking about, but it's just his thought process. I want to get into more Mike Mayock. Let's take a listen.
Mike, did you and Coach and the collective, did you really honestly think that this kid from Eastern Michigan was going to show up and be a double-digit sack guy as a rookie?
No, I expected Max to come in and compete his tail off because that's what he does. He jumps off the tape as the Energizer bunny. The cool thing about Max is he's got length and he can bend. And a lot of big guys can't bend. So when you put in length, the ability to bend, and his motor, we knew he had a high chance to succeed in the NFL at a certain point. We also thought he was a little bit power deficient. But I'll tell you, he put on 10. Rookies don't put 10, 12 pounds on during their rookie season. He hit the weight room. The nutrition, he bought into the nutrition program. Everything he did was the right thing. And, every week he got better. He listens to coaching. He puts weight on. He comes out, and more than anything, though, he plays every week and every day like his hair's on fire. So did he exceed our expectations year one? Absolutely. And I think the challenge for him and the rest of the rookies is to take a big step in year two.
That's it right there, right? Max Crosby, yeah, I can say it. Mad Max himself set the standard of what these guys are looking for. And Mayock's an evaluator. Mayock knows now, especially in the later rounds, this is what he's looking for, but not just in the later rounds, right? because Max Crosby is the guy who set that standard and set that bar, right? Did exactly what they wanted him to do later on, but in year one, that's pretty much why they got Cleveland Farrell, though. Remember, they were drafting leaders. They were drafting leader type quality championship winners. They were looking for mentality. They were looking for people that listened, that were coach friendly, that wanted to play football. We've seen a lot of GMs do it. That's what Reggie was trying to do, giving people second chances and getting real personal with them. And no one's done it in this league like Mike Mayock did last year for sure. Like, he picked guys that are setting the standard in our locker room, our culture. But Max Crosby really set it at, like, this is how it's done. I think it was last week or the week before, I talked about how I remember the call that Mayock gave to Crosby and was like, dude, look, you got a lot of work to do. You got to get with our trainer. You got to get stronger. You got to do, he just gave him this whole list. And Max didn't wait till year 2 to do that or the next offseason. That boy went right to work, grabbed his lunch pail, went right to work. And that stands out. It's not just a standout on this football team. It's going to be a standout to the way that Mayock and his scouting team are going to evaluate players. They're going to be looking for guys like Max Crosby. Now, I hope they don't try to overreach on some of these guys because of the standard that was set. But, dude, this is something that, like, this could be big moving forward, right? This goes down to what we do, especially in the first round, because a lot of people, like, we always get drawn to the hype tape. We're always getting drawn to their college film, how they did in college. We often look at the player and their highlights and what they do and their speed and their cuts when we're talking about wide receivers and the way that the quarterback moves in the pocket and throws the football. These guys are doing the opposite. They're looking at all the tape. They're evaluating who they're going against, because that plays a big part in it. They look at these small school guys out of Eastern Michigan and they figure out, okay, how's he going to raise the bar? Mike Mayock just did an interview where he was talking about how he loves the East-West game, the NFLPA game, the Senior Bowl. This is where this is where players really make their mark, because you're seeing these small school guys performing bigger levels against bigger competition. And that's where he's finding some of these gems, right? Do you remember why Khalil Mack moved up the charts so much? For guys like Mike Mayock was the first one blowing the whistle on Mack and saying how good he was, how he jumped off the tape, the same way that he was talking about Max Crosby. So look out for what Mayock is bringing to this draft. And there is a small window, and it's not going to hurt us to go and sign 2 first-round picks this year. I mean, we're going to have a lot of people to sign later on, or we have some draft value to get it back. Maybe we can pick up a couple more first-round picks later on. That's where the real test is going to be for me. But let's go ahead and start, because I don't got much time. So I want to get into this 12th overall pick. I think it's going to be quarterback or wide receiver. I mean, we could talk about Murray all day. We could talk about the linebackers and cornerbacks. This defense needs a lot of help. Watts mentioned it in the chat earlier. It does. It needs a lot of help. We need linebackers, man. We need some hybrid players. We're going to talk about that next week. We're going to talk defensive philosophy next week. My defensive philosophy, obviously, and what I think we need to find to slow down Kansas City and what it really takes. We saw a bit of it. People keep talking about what the Niners did in the Super Bowl, but they also still lost, right? And Mahomes found a way around that, especially in the fourth quarter. So it's going to take more than a really, really strong defensive front, obviously. And there needs to be more to it. So we'll get into that next week. But wide receiver and quarterback is where I really think this is going at this point. And obviously that's going to be based off what happens from March 18th to April 23rd. They got a lot of decisions to make. And just because they don't go out and get Mariota, Winston, or bring in Brady, that doesn't mean they're still not thinking quarterback. Because like I said, Carr is a really good piece where he's at right now to develop the future. And it's a bold move. Right? But I think it's a win-win situation, because if you keep Carr and you go and you make a move and you get Burrows, or you get Tua, even if he, I only get Tua if he clears. If we have a clear understanding, medically, that he's cool, you do that, because I think it's going to light the fire under Carr. It's really going to light the fire under Carr. It's going to let Carr know it's now or never. And then the Raiders next season have a decision to make. They run with their young talent that they drafted, or they keep Carr even one more year to push the envelope. Right now, people say Carr's worth 3rd or 4th round pick. If you draft a quarterback young and push Carr hard, and you still say, I'm going with Tua, man. I'm going with Burrows. Those are my guys. Like you've seen Kansas City do that with Alex Smith. You see the Chargers do that with Phillip Rivers and Breeze. And although that's an argument we all could have, I think Breeze was the better quarterback. But in that certain situation, they have to live with the decision they made. But that's kind of like where we would be going with it, right? But you're going to get trade value for Carr at that point if he performs. I'm not saying he's going to, but I think he needs a wake up call. And I think that started with the whole Brady rumor to begin with. It's wake up. You're not safe, dude. We're not banging the table for you yet. Right. So if you're going to move on from Carr, now's the time. Now is the time. You have the firepower to actually land Tua or Burrows. If you really want Burrows and you think that everybody else that are believing the hype that this guy in 1 year changed the whole dynamic, then go do it. If Tua clears, then you just hold on and try to make that move too. But you have the firepower to get either one of those guys. Now, I like Herbert over Love, and I know that's probably not going to be popular with a lot of people. I mean, he's 6'6", he's mobile. I like his game, and then he's going to have a year at this point to develop. So if that's the decision they want to run with, now's the time. Make that move. That's why I said it's quarterback or wide receiver. Now, the reason why I got wide receiver coming in second over linebacker and over cornerback is because I've adopted the philosophy that there's 2 ways you could look at hanging with Kansas City. Building a defense, and we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that next week about my philosophy on defense. Now, what I think it's going to take is not easily done. It's going to take Mike Mayock to take his valuation of players to another level. Do you remember it always used to be, 4-3-4-3, then you got the 3-4. Someone needs to come up with a new type of hybrid defense, which people are already trying to do, to handle this new age offense and these new age players, especially from the tight end position. The tight end position has changed so much. We've always had mobile and running quarterbacks in the league for a long time. But these tight ends, look what we were doing with Waller. We lined them up outside. Like it's crazy the skill level of offensive players at this point, and what offensive coordinators are able to do with the talent, especially if you have the right trigger man. So it's not going to be easy to necessarily get the right kind of linebacker or the right cornerback and find everything to line up the way that you need to really compete with the Kansas City Chiefs. So your next best bet is to match them play for play offensively. Make it a shootout. And then the best team that makes the most plays is going to win. So it makes sense when you look at our football team. Our offensive line is solid. It's solid. Whether it's the best in the league, we're definitely top 5, and that's a great start right there. To be top 5 out of 32, you got a really, really solid offensive line. Our running back department, man, is on point right now. Okay. We just re-signed Jalen Richard, and I've been a Richard guy. I don't know if the tape still exists on this channel or not, but I've always been a Richard guy. I believe in Jalen Richard. I think I've always liked him better than DeAndre Washington. And my early on reasons for that is I believe that he has better vision and he has a faster burst. Like he bursts through the hole better than Washington, but they're very, very comparable. I think at this point in their game, in their career, they're pretty equal, because everybody's going to slow down a little bit. But I think what separates Richard from Washington in Gruden's eyes is Richard was their 3rd and 4th down back. Like he was the guy that was going to pass protect. He understands Gruden's scheme. He's really good back there. I mean, I remember when he went down, that was their biggest fear is like Carr. That was Carr's comfort zone right there too. That was part of Carr's comfort zone was not so much that he can. He's really good catching the ball and making plays. That's the other bit of it, right? Jacobs can do the same, but he wants Jacobs' power. He wants him to run the ball. Richard's that hybrid shifty guy. Are we going to bring Washington back? Depends on the health of maybe someone like Isaiah Crowell. Maybe they draft somebody later on. I think they're going to look for another power back at this point, someone that's a little bigger in stature, more power. If you remember the way that Gruden likes to run the ball, we had Tyrone Wheatley, we had Richie, we had these really big power backs, and then we had like Charlie Gardner that was a shifty guy. So I think you're getting that with Josh Jacobs and Jalen Richard. I think that's your 2-headed horse right there for now. And the next guy that they bring in to back him up, I think will be a bigger, more power guy. Someone that they could use in the red zone and short distance too. If Jacobs needs a break or whatever the situation is, I don't think they go another small guy. That was the way that the cards were dealt to them last season, talent wise. So I just think that that's what they run with. But the running back situation is good, is really good. Wide tight ends on point. Wide receivers where everybody's talking about, right? And you look at it from the point of Tyrell Williams, who just got paid, which well deserved. You know, the foot injury. Does he still have the potential to be a number one? I think so. I think that he has the skill set. If healthy, he could do some things. But at this point, I'd like to see him as that 1.5, so to speak, right, and bring in that true number and one that's going to really, really change the game. And that's where people are talking about CeeDee Lamb, Judy. I think of Ruggs. I'm not so big on Ruggs as I am Judy and Lamb. I think that's where the standard's at right now. One of those two guys, and I don't think you go wrong with either one of them. I think Judy. We'll have to look at the combine. That's the one thing you need to look at the combine. Okay, hold on one sec. So we got to look at CeeDee Lamb and we got to look at Judy, right? And I think speed is gonna answer that question because I think they're pretty comparable. I think that you can't go wrong with either one of them. I would just take the fastest one at this point. They all have hands. I mean, I know that Judy's known to drop some balls, but calm him down a little bit. He's a young player trying to make a name for himself. Maybe he'll come into his own, but I'd go speed. I would go speed. And we still have Rico Gafford and we still have Keelan Doss. Look, there was a lot of expectation put on Keelan Doss last year. And Gruden shot it straight. Gruden came out and said, no, that was you guys saying that he was a starter. That was you guys. And he wasn't knocking Doss. He was being real. They wanted Doss on the practice squad. Doss left. And they brought him back. And I think that was more of a fan decision because of what happened with AB and all that. But they knew that Doss was a project that had potential because he could play every offensive position. And again, we talked about it earlier. That step you make from year 1 to year 2 is huge. So Doss has an opportunity. Rico Gafford, I mean, that guy has speed. He can get over the top. He could have a place on this football team in year 2, right? And if you look at the roster as it stands now, I mean, those guys are kind of shoo-ins almost for right now. But you know that the Raiders need wide receiver. John Gruden is an offensive-minded guy. That's why I got number 12 going wide receiver. We could pound the table for linebacker and cornerback all day, but Gruden's not going to let his offense suffer. I don't care, bring in Brady, bring in, Winston, bring in Mariota, go draft a guy. You're going to have a complimentary wide receiver, period. And if we go quarterback, if we need to go quarterback with that number 12 pick, look for a wide receiver with number 19. If we have to give up both those picks to get that quarterback they want, look for them to move up in the second round and make a move there too. Or we'll watch how they handle free agency too. We'll see how they handle free agency. I don't really see a name out there that's really jumping off. I could see Gruden saying, give me AJ Green if available, because I could see AJ Green being that guy, another veteran guy that he could rely on. He went and got Jerry Rice. We had Tim Brown. They were later in their years, and they were making plays in this system. So I could see him being comfortable with that. If depending on what, again, this is all draft philosophy, things that we'll never be able to figure out. I think once we hit free agency in a month, a little over a month from now, I think it'll help shape it out. But again, these guys, we know one thing. We got wide receiver, linebacker, and cornerback. Taking the quarterback out of the conversation at this point, but I think it's something that we got to look into. It's something that's definitely heavy on the table right now. But setting that aside, wide receiver, linebacker, cornerback, that's what we're looking at in the first round. In no particular order, although knowing Gruden and this being his team, I give it heavy wide receiver number 12, and then you're going to take the best player at either position, linebacker or cornerback, whatever is on your board that's ranks highest, that's going to be the guy. And that's where it sits right now. So I'm going to get into the comment section because then I got to bounce out of here. That's just my thoughts right now. I mean, nothing heavy. I got, me personally, from where I stand, guys, I got Jerry Jeudy. That's who I want. And like I said, it's speed, but I can't 100% say that until we get into the combine and get into some of these drills. I think you don't go wrong. If it's Lamb and not Jeudy, dude, it's all good. Really, it is. I think that at this point, we need depth. We need players. And I trust in this scouting department, especially at the head of it with Mike Mayock. I don't think we're going to misread this fully, but yeah, I'm excited. I think, though, it's going to be wide receiver all day. Miguel Ruiz, how could Gruden's system be complicated when it's running game and checkdowns? Because it's the philosophy of it, man. It is more than that. Here's the thing, Miguel, right? It is running game and checkdowns, but there's more there, right? There's more there, but Gruden literally speaks the check down. He'd rather you check it down than push it forward. And that's what's holding Carr back. And I said that last week. We could talk about Carr being timid, but he's towing that company line right now, right? He's trying to really get up Gruden's butt and kiss it a little bit and be like, man, I'm doing exactly what you tell me to do. I'm running your offense the way. So again, it's the progression in the offense. But beyond that, it's understanding the defense, which you already know Brady's going to do, but it's the verbiage, bro. It's the verbiage that every single offensive player right now that's in place knows. And people tell you all the time, it's not easy learning Gruden's system from a verbiage standpoint. Brady's smart. He's been around a long time, but he's also been in the same exact system his whole career. So I'm not saying it's impossible. It just doesn't make any sense to put that much pressure on the table for someone who's 43 years old, right? So there's a lot more to Gruden's offense than just checkdowns and running game. He likes to work the clock. So yeah, it's heavy. It's heavy in that department. He needs playmakers on the outside. We already got the playmakers in the backfield. We got a good running game. It stays healthy. We're good there. But it's a lot more complex than people believe. It's more than just checkdowns and running games. It's just finding, go look at Gannon's tape. Go watch Rich Gannon play because it's the same system, right? And watch how many times him and Gruden yell at each other on the sideline because Gannon was going to try to make plays. That's the biggest difference. And I believe that Gruden wants that. I think Gruden designed us a system that works and that is safe to protect the football. But it's up to the athlete on the field to make the plays. And if it works, Gruden will give him that scowl, but whatever, it worked. When it fails, he's going to get right in his face because that's just that's how you keep someone honest and real. It's management. It's management. It's game management from a coach's perspective. He's going to design a system that works, that's safe to protect the football, and it's up to the athlete to make the plays on the field. And when you don't make the plays, he's going to check you on it. But if you make the plays, it is what it is. And that's what Gannon brought to the table. It's exactly what Gannon brought to the table. That's what made him great in his system. He didn't follow it to the T. He was an athlete, went out and made plays. Just my opinion, my brother. What's up, Shawshank? The topic of the day is basically philosophy, draft philosophy with Mayock and Gruden. What we're doing, that quarterback situation is hanging over this team's head right now. It is what it is. You're not going to get answers unless in free agency we go get Brady. That'll tell us everything we need to know. But if we don't go out and get any of those guys, I still say there's a big possibility that quarterback is right there at number 12. Yeah, that's another interesting point, Watts. Like Max did what Josh, you said it in Minnesota, Arden Key didn't do. Arden Key is one of those guys. I think I mentioned it last week. If you watch the tape, man, it's just he needs to get stronger and believe in himself and going and pushing forward more. I think he's going too far outside or something. He's like, when you watch the tape, the quarterback's throwing the ball and Arden Key is like one step behind him almost every single time. So the guy has talent, right? And you're right, Watts. Like Max did it inside the first season, what Arden Key is failing to do with strength and size and speed and putting it all together. So I'm hoping that they give Arden Key a chance, even as a third down rusher. And I'm hoping that he takes this offseason a little bit more seriously once he gets over his injury and we get a different Arden Key. But we'll see what happens. No, yeah, it's Shawshank. I mean, commenting on what Miguel said about Gruden's offense. I mean, it's a valid point, but you're only looking at it from just one part of the scenario. Like you watch and I talked about it the last 2 weeks. You watch how Carr plays the game and how he talks in his pressers, right? That was my read. That's what I just went through my reads. I went through my progressions like I was told, and Gruden wants me to protect the football, no mistakes. He's playing the system guy, which is not wrong. That's Gruden's liking that, but I guarantee you, look how fiery Gruden is, guys. Carr is holding himself back, to be honest with you, to please the guy. There's so much talk about how they can coexist because Carr's so nice, Gruden's so hard, and his language and the personality. Trust me, Carr knows the system. He's proven that. He knows the system, and he's running it too much to the T, man. He's running it too good. I guarantee you, the conversation in that war room is Carr needs to step up. Like, look, they're having the same conversation we are. Can Carr make Gruden mad? That's what it comes down to. I mean, it's, make the play or don't make the play. The guy has the arm talent, but he's playing timid. Whether it was his leg injury, which I don't believe it was fully on that. That's his leg, not his arm or his brain. I think he's just trying to make Gruden too happy, man. You're going to have to make plays, man. Be that athlete. Make some of the tough decisions that Gruden's not going to like. But I think Gruden expects that from his players, right? I don't think Gruden expects total obedience. I just really don't. I think he understands in the heat of the moment, in the middle of a game, there's decisions that have to be made that are out of his control and out of his system. His system is designed to go through your reads to make a play or check it down. Fact. And I'll be the first one to say, I said it last week. I think Gruden sometimes even he hurts the quarterback, especially if it's going to be a guy like Carr, to say, we got to lead, I'm pulling it back. Gruden has always been that guy. Clock management, run the football, check it down to preserve the clock. You're exactly right, Miguel, 100%. But when you watch the Raiders of old, when it was under Gruden and Gannon, like a little bit like Mahomes, not as much as Mahomes, went out there and made the plays possible. And that's what we're looking at right now. So we'll go, again, we'll have to wait and let this play out. Gruden needs to open his offense for sure. But Carr could do that on his own because he's got the ball in his hand. That's my point. Hold on one second. Simone Raider says something. What's good, homie? Hand gesture. I don't know what you're talking about, Simone, but right at you, brother. This one? Let's go. Respect. Thanks, Watts. Yeah, Mike Mayock's the key to all this, man. He really is. I agree, Simone. Yeah, no, definitely. I've back when I used to try to get all my information on players, he's the only one I listened to. I never liked Mel Kiper. I never liked any of those guys. I always liked Mike Mayock. And maybe it was the way he talked. I don't know. I just liked his approach to talking about players. And again, you go back and look at his track record. He wasn't always right from the desk, from the TV podium, right? But he's proven that he can adjust to the system. That's the first thing that he said in his presser. The biggest difference is he's got skin in the game. I'm repeating that line again. And that he needs to get with Gruden and Gunther. This is what he said last year. So he can understand exactly the type of players they want and need in their systems. And he did that. So he's not coming in cocky with his ability to analyze football players. He's coming in humbled saying, I got this skill. Let me get you what you need. Let me shop for your groceries, but I want to get you the type of ingredients that you need to put your product on the field. And he's proven that. And I think that is what's making him highly, highly credible right now in this league. And what's going to make the Raiders better in the future is he's understanding the system of Gruden and the systems of Gunther, and he's finding the players that they need. Now, it's not, draft's not always easy. Evaluating players not always easy, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this all folds. Right. Well, it's I'm gonna see if I heard that right. I know I'm running out of time. I got to hurry up and get out of here, guys. Sorry, but let me see. So he's talking about, letting Carr go, trading Carr, and holding on to the same picks. This is what they're figuring out. This is where they make their money. This is where Gruden and Mayock and have to really sit down and figure out what's best for this football team moving forward. And I like I said, that's where I personally think that your cap is set, your numbers are set. Brady's going to cost more than Carr, so we're gonna pay another $10 million for a 43-year-old quarterback. To me, it doesn't. If you do that, because again, if you bring in Brady, right, maybe you get a third, maybe you get a fourth for Carr. and you're bringing in a guy spending $10 million more dollars to go and draft a young guy. Like, all that's too crazy when your cap is set either way. I think Carr is a perfect gap filler at this point. Like, you don't need to go out and invest into a Brady if you're going to draft somebody and you already have Carr. Carr didn't play that horrible, guys. Seriously. Like, it wasn't so bad that, oh, we got to get him out. I mean, all we're saying that we're tired of the conservative type of play. That's where we're at. And we might have to deal with it for another year, but we just don't want him to be our future. If this is the way it's going to be, if this is the way the games are going to be played, you know, whether it's on Carr or on Gruden, because I think it's a combination of both at this point, then draft, move on. But we're not guaranteed that this next person is going to challenge Gruden. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's a gray area, guys. Like, I wish I had it like that. I'm just coming from my feelings, man. I'm just like, my philosophy and the way that I think Carr has definitely got one foot out the door, but I don't think we kick him out yet. I think, you know, worst case scenario, he balls out and he becomes a second round pick. You know, we get something back for him later. And because we draft somebody, it's over. I mean, usually Carr would have to play out of his mind, right? And then you still have this guy that you develop for another year or two, and then you trade him too. Either way, it'd be like I said, like San Diego had to do with Rivers and Brees. That was the decision that had to be made. I think that we could be in that same situation. Spider was talking about San Francisco's defense. We're going to get into that next week, brother. They had a really nice defense, but I don't think their secondary was as good as people thought. Defensive front, obviously putting pressure on any quarterback changes the game, and we saw that with Mahomes, especially early on. But, you know, we're going to get into what I think needs to happen for all three, not just the Raiders, man. Everybody needs to take note, because it's, especially in our division, I mean, we're tight and heavy. You know, we could talk about Tyreek Hill all day, Sammy Watkins. Kelsey was the problem. Kelsey's been a problem for us for years. We still have Fant and Hunter. There's all kinds of tight ends in our division. So it's not just, it's building a hybrid defense, and we'll talk about that next week. That's well, again, that kind of goes, we're going to get into that next week. Watts was saying we got to get Kansas City to turn the ball over more. And that's where I think we need to build it. I think they tried last year. This is one thing that we're going to get into next week. And I think they tried to develop that last year. And I think that the Raiders are onto something, but I think they just need to find a better piece when it comes to the outside linebackers. Richard was signed because of the Lions game. I think it goes back even further than that. He did show out, but you know what, man? It's a combination of his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. You can line him up as a wide receiver, and he's a pass blocker. He's a triple threat, and that's exactly why he got it over Washington. Not knocking Washington, like the game, dude. I like Washington. He's good. But if you're going to compare him to Rashard, for me, Rashard's always had that edge on him. Rashard just always had that little bit of an edge on him, and it really sucks. I think there's a spot for Washington here if we don't find the right piece moving down. But I think they're going to give Washington the opportunity to go find a better opportunity to start. And I think that's the right thing to do. But he might end up back on this team. We don't know. Hold on. Watts said good locker. So I'm thinking, I'm not catching. I don't know if you're saying a player and I'm not catching it, or you're talking about the locker room. But I think that's one thing that's overlooked at this point is the culture of our locker room right now. It started off the season excellent, and it kind of faded because it got crazy and injuries and stuff. But Gruden has changed the culture of this football team, and you're going to see it come full circle next year with all these great young guys that bought in last year. They're going to be leaders on this team: Jacobs, Farrell, Crosby, Foster Moreau, Hunter Renfrow. This culture is changing big time, and I think they're doing a really good job with that as well. Yeah, absolutely, Spider. Washington's definitely going to test the waters. Who wouldn't? It's the right thing to do. We'll see. I think there's going to be a team out there that's going to give him a shot. Because again, I mean, nice small back. He can run in between tackles, even at his size, and he can catch the ball great out of the backfield too. So I see him going somewhere else as well. Yeah, Washington's small though, so is Rashard, but Washington has been proven too. Not as durable as Rashard. There's a lot of factors that go into it, but Washington's a player, man. I think he'd be a great asset to one of these teams out there for sure. Just gotta hope he doesn't land in our division. He's a number 2. Absolutely. I think he's talking about Washington. I'm Spider. I think you're talking about Washington. He's a number 2. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Behind Rashard, I agree with you, Spider, dude. It's night and day to me. It always has been. I mean, I've always liked Rashard's burst. I think he sees the line of scrimmage and the holes better, and he pass protects better. So I mean, it to me it was a no brainer. I know there's a lot of people making the argument, but I don't see it. Mattel Select, thanks, brother. I'm happy to be back. I'm going to keep it going, man. The plan is to keep this train moving at least once a week for right now, for sure. Yeah, Judy's an ankle breaker. Man, there's I think all of them have that skill. Like when you watch the tape, like there's looking at their hype tape, because that's what we got. That's what I got anyway. If you guys got some other film you guys want to send me about their bad tape, I want to see it. But all these guys are pretty similar. I think for me to make my ultimate decision right now, I'm going with Judy because I think Judy looks faster on tape so far to me. But they're all pretty close. I want to see their numbers. I think a lot of the teams want to see their combine numbers, how they've developed from the time they stopped playing the end of the season till they're, because they're working out hard. They're getting faster. They're getting stronger. And these wide receivers, especially Lamb and Judy, first and foremost, are going to be battling it out. And it's going to be that 40 time, and it's going to be their hand drills on the field, catching those passes. Judy would probably be gone. Possible, again, when you look, we're picking number 12. We're just right around that mid mark. Both Judy and Lamb could be gone. You just never know. People are going to want to jump ahead of us. And remember, this is part of it. Like this is the one thing we haven't talked about in philosophy. Teams want to build hype and really build misdirect at this point. They want people to be misdirected on how things are going to play out because they want the draft board. You try to manipulate the draft board that way. So if you really truly believe that the Raiders are all in on a quarterback, if they could build that hype to that, Brady helps with that thought process, right? Just the talk that you would sign Brady, that you'd be in on Brady if he gets set free, is already getting the other 31 teams right now are thinking if they're that serious and they would go after Brady, then they're looking quarterback with number 12 because Brady's not the future, right? So it could be a mind game too, man. Like, and it's working on us fans because we have feelings and we already feel a certain way. So, when it comes to the wide receivers, same thing. But I think we have the power to move up too, bro. So we'll see. But Judy still, I mean, I'm coming from the standpoint of in the top dogs, I want Judy. Doesn't mean he'll be there, right? How many people thought Mac would drop to us at 4 or even Coop, right? Like those players just landed in our laps and we took it. So anything's possible, I guess. Higgins could be like Julio Jones. Riggins or Higgins? Let me go back and see. You said Higgins. Yeah, there's again, man, there's so much hidden talent out there, and it's all about philosophies and how people feel it fits into their system. But it's really tough, man. I'm not the best. I'll be honest with you guys. I tell you guys this all the time. When it comes to watching tape, I do the best that I can. But if you guys look right here, independently blind, man, I see things a little different. I evaluate a little differently. But I will say this when it comes to like the last few years, in Mayock I trust. That's kind of my draft philosophy right now, is in Mayock I trust. Now I do have my ideas and my own personal opinions on what I think we should do. Quarterback, obviously, if needed, and then wide receiver would be my next because I believe Gruden wants to build an offense. I think that's the closest and the best chance we have to battle Kansas City right now is to develop an offense that's just as good. But Gruden's gonna like Miguel was talking about, right, with the check down and the running. I think he's gonna open up a little bit, get the playmakers and open it up, for sure. And that is on the shoulder of Carr right now too. But we'll see. We'll see. So so at the end of the day, I trust Mayock. But yeah, we need linebacker, we need cornerback, and we'll see from there. Yeah, the Higgins speed. I mean, that's where it's going to come down to, man. But it's got to be more than speed. The Raiders have lived off that philosophy, right? That's the old Al Davis philosophy. James Jett, Darius Hayward-Bay, even. You guys remember Darius Hayward-Bay? Rocket Ishmael. We always went for speed, man. Willie Gault, speed. And it plays a big point in going deep, but that's not Gruden's offense. You got to have good route running skills, speed, and breakaway power in this West Coast offense. So that's I guess that's where I'm like, speed's a big part of it, but that's where Judy's the ankle breaker. And I think Lamb's right behind him with the route running. Look what Hunter Renfrow is able to do in Gruden's system. And he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he's got great hands and he runs good routes. And Jerry Rice was the same way. Jerry Rice wasn't known for his 4.3 speed, guys, right? He just knew how to run the route in the system, get open, catch the ball, most importantly, and then it's all about angles after that. Ruggs is the fastest. Lamb is the playmaker. Speed kills, and I think that'll be the conversation throughout. Because we want somebody to get over the top, but Lamb's a route runner. And like I just got done saying, Watts, right? Like look at Renfrow. And Jerry Rice are perfect examples that, you get the right player in the right spot at the right time, and he has all the other intangibles, and it really does come down angles. And you've seen that from Renfrow a couple of times last year in some big plays. Not the fastest guy, but his angle gave him enough separation to get to the house. That's interesting too, right? Sammy Watkins might be a cap casualty over in Kansas City. And I was thinking about that earlier on too. And for me, has Watkins proven a number one position on any team? And that's the biggest question, right? He's another guy that has tremendous speed. He can get over the top and he can catch. He's a playmaker. So for me, I say yes, but at what price? Because I don't know if I want to bring Sammy Watkins in and say he solidifies our receiving core, right? I think he would be a fantastic piece to it, but I don't know if I'm ready to put that number one on his back. I don't know. I have to put more thought into that, but I would definitely go out and try to get him. Price on that would be the biggest thing. Which one, Watts? Who has good speed for their height? Sammy Watkins would definitely help. We just talked about that. Yeah, Sammy would help big time. I just don't know if I'm putting the number one on his back. Yeah, we're going to get into that next week too, Spider, about the LB position. I think that we need to think outside the box. Perfect is part of that process. Number one, Compton, even though it hasn't happened yet, is another step. Number two, and there's a big discrepancy in free agency. You guys want to check out a really good video? Go check out Sanji T's video on linebackers. I thought he did a fantastic job. The only thing that I didn't agree with, but it's not really about agreeing or not agreeing. I'm more worried about the pass protection right now than I am stopping the run. I think we need to bring hybrid guys in, and we need to switch it out. I mean, these offenses have changed. You can't ignore the ability to stop the run, and that's why I like Sanji's video and I like this take. You want to find that guy that can do it all, but if you could grab a guy that is better in pass protection, that's what we need for these tight ends. From a tight end perspective, just this only one small part of the game, but I think that's what we're looking at, especially. So we're going to get into it next week, but it's really about coverage. It's about that back seven. And because I think we're developing a good defensive front. When you look at the Niners, I'll give you a little snippet of what I'm talking about. Everybody's talking about what the Niners did against Kansas City with their defensive front. But at the end of the day, it was a secondary that couldn't keep up with the receivers at the end of the day. We need to make sure that our secondary, how do you stop Mahomes? the best way to stop Mahomes is to cover his weapons, and it's not going to be an easy task. That's why I said, again, I don't want to jump all over the place, but that's why I said wide receiver is my number one priority right now, because I think we need to build an offense to run and gun with these guys and just hope that we put a defense together that can just make enough stops to give us the lead at the end of the day. Depth. Murray would be a good linebacker in the NFL. I agree. He's the one that I'm looking at. He's that total all-around linebacker, though. The question mark about his hands and pass protection is what scares me. But I also read an article or basically I had my computer read me the article, but either way, where they were talking about he played in a system that didn't ask him to do a lot of that. And so we don't really know. Again, he's another guy to really look at the combine. But I really believe at this point they need to look for a linebacker that, if you're a linebacker, you should automatically be able to come up and make plays at the line of scrimmage. Otherwise, why are you a linebacker unless you're a hybrid, right? But we need these guys to have hands and understand what it means to drop back and cover the middle of the field, because that we've been killed there for years. Great comment, Spidey. Like the verbiage is set up that way because it's all line of scrimmage. It's all about movement. Right. And Carr does need to make, so that's been my argument this whole time, right? Is the offense is set up to be ran a certain way. If the right play is called and the right play, we've seen it with Renfro. We've seen the plays work. It's a West Coast offense. Even if you go back in the days of Gannon, we weren't a team that threw down the field a whole lot. But we had Gannon who made those kind of decisions to push the ball more than not. Gannon didn't check it down every single play like Carr. He wasn't afraid to piss Gruden off in his system. And again, I will even bang the table all day and say that Gruden expects that from Carr. And that's the one thing he's not giving him is that fire. Like he's fiery when he makes a play and they get a touchdown. I mean, Carr's an athlete. He's a competitor. So I'm not saying that at all. That guy's got fire. He fights. But he's also toned that company line. And I want to see him make the plays. He's the athlete. He's the one that's going to make that decision. I know what the system says, but sometimes you got to go against the grain. And you see quarterbacks do it all. That's what making quarterbacks great right now. That's what makes Mahomes great. Breaking the pocket, always keeping his head upfield, and just making a play, period. I seen him in that game, that first half. And let's talk about that real quick. I got to get out of here, man. I could talk all day. Go look at that Super Bowl tape. Look at Mahomes. That pressure came, and Mahomes was so uncomfortable, and he was trying to get it out to his check down in the flat, and he couldn't hit that for the life of him, man. Way off base. He was so under pressure. He was trying to check it down. He was better after they got better offensively when he just started to run away from the pressure, keep his head upfield, and just make plays. That's what Mahomes does. He just makes plays. He's not afraid. He trusts in his arm strength. He trusts in his ability to throw the ball. He's got enough leg to make some, he's done that too. He'll run. He's not no Michael Vick by all means, but he's a Russell Wilson type quarterback, keeps his head up the field and makes a play. And Carr has that ability. Like, go watch the tape. Carr can do it. Carr is athletic. Carr has the arm. Just for whatever reason, I don't know if it's, he's become a numbers guy with Gruden, or, he's just not, he's afraid to make Gruden mad. That's just my personal take. I mean, and I'm not saying, I'm right. I'm just saying, like, that's what I see. Carr's checking down, but the system, the system tells him to. Like, you guys, that's my whole point. Gruden's system tells him to, and he's being the system guy. Gannon wasn't that full system. Like, Gannon would go through his progressions, but Gannon wasn't afraid to push the ball and make plays, whether it was running. That's what ended his career. It was against Kansas City. I believe it was a Monday night. I was on a cruise ship, in fact, and that's when he hurt his neck. But the guy's always going to make plays. He didn't care. He went through his progressions, but if he saw something or the game needed it, he went and did it. Carr plays soft. Trust me, I'm not standing up for Carr, brother. I'm not doing it no more. But I'm just saying that he has a skill, right? He's playing the system too tight. He needs to grow a pair. What'd you say a couple of weeks ago, Watts? He needs to let him hang and sway back and forth a little bit. I agree. Exactly. Yep. Spidey, you nailed it on the head. That's exactly what I'm talking about. He was more aggressive. Carr, if either Carr got it or he don't, man. And that right now, the consensus is out there. He don't have that. He's not showing that aggressiveness. And that's and the more I talk about it, the more angry I get. Not anybody, just at Carr in general, because like you see the guy and his talent. Like you don't see those kind of numbers, regardless of checkdowns or not. You don't see those kind of numbers from some guy who doesn't understand the game and make the play. You don't come back on these fourth quarter drives, these last minute drives, and make plays unless you're a guy that has that kind of skill set. He has all the ability in the world to do it. He just lacks that aggression. He doesn't want to pick. I don't know what it is anymore, but it really, really, really gets me angry because I believe that he's a wasted opportunity at this point. So I'm not saying that he's our future. Nope. I'm saying that we need to address that, but it definitely ain't Brady. Almost. He needs to change his name to Almost, right? So here's the thing, man. I'm gonna have to get out of here. I could sit here and do this all day with you guys, but I got an appointment I got to get to. Car is too safe. Yeah, Spidey, I get it. Yep. That's where we're at. And this is why the conversation I wanted to go there today. You know, we have to start looking at that number 12 pick. We have to really start looking at quarterback. In my opinion, that's what I want to do. If they have another answer, if they have another way they want to handle it, then it's got to be wide receiver. But offensive first pick. I think the first pick needs to fix our offense. And if we decide to go quarterback and we still have that 19th overall pick, we need to go wide receiver. It could be an all offense first round, in my opinion. Guys, thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for the conversations and everything, man. It's all love. None of us are right. None of us are wrong. We're just passionate fans that like to talk football. And that's what I love to do, man. And I want to thank everybody for being here today. Thank you for joining the conversation. Until next time, stay Raider strong.